Why did shaving become a thing? Is shaving bad for me? Why do women shave? What does World War II have to do with shaving?
Wait a damn minute.
Time to find out. But before I answer that, please know that it took a lot of time and hard work to make this episode, so go on and give this a like and subscribe so I can continue making great videos for you. Also, hit that bell icon to never miss an episode. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? This is Krystal Lake, and I'm going to blow your mind today, starting with this. Did you know that the average woman spends 72 days of their life shaving? Some of you are like,
Reclaiming my time.
Okay.
Reclaiming
Matter of
my
fact,
time.
Mr. Secretary,
and some are like,
And I do it again. Bop, bop, bop.
by the end of this video, you'll probably have different thoughts about shaving. You're gonna learn why we do it, the history of it, and if it's harmful or not. So let's answer the first question. When did people start removing hair? This actually goes back to the ancient Egyptian times. Historians found that men and women were using tweezers and sugar wax. So yeah, plucking hair wasn't unheard of, but shaving was nowhere near to what it is now. Fast forward to the 18th century, modern looking razors started to be used. Early colonists that stole Native American land started to witness some natives practicing hair removal. They also saw that a lot of natives were not as naturally hairy. Here's where racism comes in. 18th century theorists and popular figures such as President Thomas Jefferson put a racist spin on this by claiming men who couldn't grow beards were low class and unintelligent, and those who couldn't grow body hair were hopeless and weak. In other words, you had to be a white hairy man to be respected and accepted. Isn't it still like that today? You tell me. So when did shaving become a thing for women? Well, up until the 20th century, women's clothes covered places where they had hair. It was common for women to pluck their facial hair because they didn't want to be viewed as a woman that was manly. They even had hair removal creams in the mid-19th century, but it wasn't extremely popular because they usually left burns and caused skin problems. But in the 20th century, fashion changed and became more revealing, so more skin began to show. A clever salesman known as Camp King Gillette saw this as a way of getting money. In 1915, Gillette created the first women's razors. It was literally the same thing as a men's razor, but he wanted women to see it as a feminine item. So he slapped 14 karat gold on it and gave it a fancy name. He then sprinkled in a few shameful ads, like calling body hair an embarrassing personal problem, or that a woman would be unloved and embarrassing if they had body hair. He advertised it in all the women's magazines, so it could grab women's emotions and sell her a product that'll fix her embarrassing problems. And boom, a manipulative masterpiece was made. But wait, those razor ads were mainly aimed at shaving women's armpits. What about the rest of the body? What about the legs? What about the pussy? We interrupt this program to give you great news. My store is now having a sale. Find the link in the description or go to the website cutbykrystal.com/shop. Thank you so much for everyone that has bought some merch. The black hat is going on fire right now, so make sure you get it while it lasts. Now back to the show. Women were shaving their armpits and facial hair, but that's about it. It wasn't until World War II when women began to shave other places. This is the time when the government explained to women if they're not trying to look like their version of pretty, then America will lose the war. Here's how that went down. During this time, stockings were very popular, so women didn't need to shave their legs. In 1939, nylon stockings were being made. These stockings were cheaper and stronger than silk and rayon stockings, so it became a top seller. However, during the war, nylon was being used to create parachutes and uniforms for soldiers. So the US government and its allies asked women to hand over their stockings so they could support the war. This led to women wearing their bare legs out and exposed for the first time. The UK made nationwide clothing guidelines based on the new materials that women were pushed to use. The Make Do and Mend fashion pamphlets were given out to convince them to cut their clothes and make new trendy clothes that fit with the media's views. These new trends had shorter hems, no sleeves, and showed more skin than ever before. So women didn't have the option to hide their hairy parts anymore. The government told women that if the beauty standards weren't high at home, then this will result in America losing the war, because the soldiers won't feel motivated in having someone to come back home to. Yes, I know. So women felt extreme pressure to not only spend less, but also to meet the media's high beauty standards while spending less. There were also a few weird trends floating around, like tanning your legs with gravy, which sounds pretty tasty if you ask me. This was done because some women couldn't let go of not having stockings anymore, so they painted on the stockings with gravy. I can't. Anyways, back to what I was saying. This look couldn't be achieved if your legs were hairy, because the gravy would bunch up and turn clumpy. These clever tricks used to encourage shaving worked like a charm, and companies began to push it further. Pinup girls like Betty Grable became very famous during the war because the government labeled Betty's pictures as an act of true patriotism. She wore makeup, revealed a lot of skin, and had no body hair. Betty sold over 5 million pictures. Americans were now hooked on this look. As time went by, skirts got shorter, shorts got higher, and tops got smaller. By 1964, 98% of all American women between 14 and 44 were regularly shaving. Subscribe if you just learned something new. So is shaving bad for you? Yes, it can be dangerous, but as long as you're aware of these risks, then you'll be able to plan much better, because some can be potentially deadly. Here's a countdown of 3 downfalls of shaving. Number 3. It causes irritation. An estimated 75% of people experience itching when their pubic hair regrows, and 40% experience a rash. Have you ever shaved and the very next day, it's itching like crazy? The worst is when you're in public and you're trying not to itch down there. Ugh! Give this a like if you had to go through that as well. Number 2, ingrown hairs. Shaving can cause your hair to grow inwards, which results in ingrown hairs or raised bumps. I definitely have had an ingrown hair in my armpit and on my other lip, and the pain was ridiculous. That was not the one. No, I don't ever want to experience that again. And number 1, increased risk of catching an STI. Shaving can create microscopic cuts in the skin, making it much easier to catch an STI. It's actually recommended to not have sex after waxing or shaving because you'd be prone to infection. It also directly links to the rise in cases of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and HPV. So what do you do? Here's 3 solutions. Keep the hair, or shave more carefully, or trim. Trimming works great for me, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, I love my body and its hair. I have no problems when the world sees how hairy I can get, but sometimes I want my grass cut because I feel like it. And when I do, I tend to trim rather than shave. I've linked the trimmer that I use down in the description. Here's a countdown of 4 reasons to trim. Number 4, painful pulling. Have you ever had a hair cling to your undies? It's not that great of a feeling at all, and trimming will solve that. Number 3, style preference. It's your body and you choose what you want to do with it. Just like clothes or the hair on your head, the hair on your body also is under your style preference. However, don't let this be an excuse to let society control your mind in thinking you need to shave. Style preference shouldn't mean you feel ashamed of your natural self. I won't feel disgusted and embarrassed about myself if I wore a green jacket rather than a red one because it goes against my style. So you shouldn't have to feel ashamed about if you're hairy or not. Number 2, feeling. Whether that's feeling more sensations during sex, or feeling the wind through your hairy legs, or even rubbing your arms. Maybe you like the trimmed feeling, or the bald feeling, or the hairy feeling, but that's up to you. This is your time to explore. Number 1, STI protection. And when I say this, I don't mean all of them, but depending if you want to trim it bald or trim it where you still have some hair, researchers have shown that less hair helps prevent crabs or pubic lice, as they have nothing to cling on to. Researchers also discovered that STIs like herpes show a decrease in spreading as there is less skin-to-skin contact if you leave a little bit of hair. The trimmer that I use has different clipper lengths, so I could trim it close if I want a bald look, and I could also trim it where I have a more groomed hairy look. It's also small, waterproof, and rechargeable, so I can shave in the shower or out the shower, and I don't have to waste money on batteries. The link to my trimmer is in the description. It's absolutely fantastic, so feel free to pick one up. I now don't have to worry about ingrown hairs and burns, so that is always great. It's an affiliate link, so purchase from that specific link if you want to support this channel. I'll be uncovering some myths about shaving, but before I get into that, here are 3 reasons to stay all natural. Number 3, time. You save loads of time. Like I said earlier, the average woman spends 72 days of their life shaving. Comment below what you do with those 72 days. Number 2, money. A woman spends about $10,000 in their lifetime on shaving products. That's a lot of money. And number 1, because you feel like it. It's important that you feel comfortable in your own skin. Reclaim your body and love it. Now for the 2 biggest myths. Let me know if you've heard these myths before. Number 2, there's no point in having pubic hair. Pubic hair is there to protect your skin. Our skin in those areas are very sensitive and can be irritated when rubbing against your underwear, pants, pads, and other things. Pubic hair is the buffer to that. If humans weren't supposed to be hairless, then we'd all be hairless. Now for the myth that everyone hears. Number 1, a woman is unhygienic and dirty if she has hair. So why do people say this? Gynecologist Michael Kakovic explains that you sweat more down there because of your hair, as it's there to keep your area dry and cool. The sweat in your hair builds up along with pheromones and bacteria in that area, and the hair traps that smell. The obvious solution to this is to take a shower or a bath. Having a Brazilian isn't going to make you any more clean. The bacteria is still there. You just might not smell it as much. The hair is actually there as a shield to protect you from harmful bacteria or infections from going into your body. Also, just think about this. The same men that say, ew, girls who don't shave their armpits are unclean and musty, are the same ones that don't shave their armpits. Or down there. Have you had to deal with this? Comment below if these myths made you struggle with your hair. This episode took a lot of time and research, so please give this a like and subscribe so I can continue making these videos. Turn on your notifications as well to never miss an episode. I really hope you liked this one, and I hope that it got you to think more about your body and appreciate it more. If you think about it, our bodies are so interesting and amazing. Let me know if you want me to cover a topic that you had in mind. This has been Krystal Lake. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
Though, why are some people so offended by hairy women?
I'm not offended, I just think it's gross.
If I was a guy, I would be grossed out by this.
Shut up!